Let me tell you something, bro. When the Quran was revealed, there was no dots. There was no accents.
So who put the dots? Who put the dots?
So
who put the dots?
later on, when it
who
was
put
collected,
the
bro. Oh my goodness.
Who put the dots? Now you got stuck on yourself. Who put the dots?
What's
That's
fucking
That's a
bro?
good question.
What matter?
That's a good
Give me the
question.
name. Who put the dots on there?
That we don't have, we don't not.
Because listen, here's the point.
It's just a different accent, they say. It doesn't change the meaning, I swear. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Cross Unit. I'm your host, Brother Maverick. Now, before I forget, please like the video, share the video, sub to the channel, and click that bell for event notifications. And hey, if you feel led to support the ministry at all, which you are not obligated to do, go ahead and click that join button, please, and thank you. Today, we're jumping into one of the most common Islamic deflections when you bring up the Quran's inconsistencies. It's just a different accent, they say. It doesn't change the meaning, I swear. But here's the kicker, guys. If the meaning does not change, why do Muslims argue over which one is better based on the surrounding context? And you'll see what I mean as the conversation rolls on. So as usual, you guys will catch my thoughts a little in the middle and of course on the other side. Let's man up.
The existence of millions of people memorizing the Quran nowadays proves that the Quran did not need to be written. Okay?
Yeah.
The Quran did not need to be written back then. It was written when it was collected.
Why?
Why? Because they wanted to conserve the same accent or the same global
accent.
Arabic. Yeah, the same accent. Was he fighting about earlier? قاتلوا وقتلوا. That's from the
Qatala
accent
and Kutila.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
Same thing.
قاتل and قتل. Let me tell you something, bro. When the Quran was revealed, there was no dots. There was no accents.
So who put the
okay?
dots? Who put the dots?
So
who put the dots?
later on, when it
Who
was
put the
collected,
dots?
bro.
Who put the
Oh my
dots?
goodness.
Who put the
Oh
dots?
my
Now you got
goodness.
stuck on yourself. Who put
You
the dots?
are what's
That's
fucking
a-
That's a
bro?
good question.
What
Give me
matter?
the
That's a
name.
good
Give
question.
me the name. Who put the dots on there?
That we don't have, we don't not.
Because
No,
listen,
no,
here's the point.
You don't know what this paper is.
No, listen.
Let him talk, please, so I can go. Let him talk so I can go.
Yeah, guys, listen.
Talk, give me my
Here's the
message.
point.
You guys are-
Here's the point. When
not
he
what-
asks who's the
what
one
to
that
explain
put
to
the
you.
dots, because we understand, even, and you don't have to know Arabic to know this, any dot, any accent mark, right? Any diacritical mark can change a word, yes or no?
What?
Yeah.
The what?
Any diacritical mark on a word can change that word.
Of
Yes,
course.
it's that
Certainly.
sensitive.
Certainly.
So when someone is adding dots that weren't there in the original manuscript, they can be adding something that didn't belong. So we can be looking at a word in the Quran that originally wasn't the case.
You cannot.
So we're
But
asking.
listen,
So
that's the problem,
who
you don't
gave
know
the
Arabic.
authority to add those accent marks?
You
And
don't
how do
know
we
Arabic.
know that this is the original
That is
that
the
Allah
original.
is supposed to
That is the
supposedly
original. You know
reveal?
why? I'ma tell you
Because
why.
it's different. It's different. There's different accent marks in this one than there are in this one, which is why there are
You
two
read
different words.
That's the problem. You read the verse. You read the verse. I'll prove to you the mistake here. Open that verse.
What's the difference?
Of the word,
No.
please.
You let me gonna explain to you, right?
But
I'm
will
gonna
you,
explain.
in
I'm
that
gonna
will you give a
explain.
definition?
وكأي من نبي قتل معه ربيون كثير فما وهنوا لما أصابهم في سبيل الله وما ضعفوا وما استكانوا والله يحب الصابرين. So why I would go for the other one and not this one, even though they were written the same way, but the punctuation changed between who says قتلوا and who says قاتلوا. I would go for the second one.
So this-
قاتلوا.
so-
You know why? You know why?
Okay,
Can
hold
I
on.
finish?
Okay, I got it. No.
Can I finish?
Wait, let-
Okay,
let-
no,
let-
you
Okay,
cannot
go
finish.
ahead, go
See, you
ahead,
cannot finish.
go ahead. Okay, I'm sorry.
Let me finish.
Sorry, man. Go ahead.
Here
Yeah,
is
go ahead.
why. Here is why I go for the other one. Here is why I go for the other one.
Okay.
I go for the other one because after that, it says they never backed off
Yeah.
and they never did anything else, which is
Yes.
ما
That's a
ضعفوا.
different-
and they never weakened
Okay.
and they never stopped.
So there's a difference.
والله يحب الصابرين.
So there's
and
a
Allah
difference.
likes.
So there's
Listen,
a difference.
listen,
There's
listen.
a difference.
Just admit that there's a difference. Yes.
There's a difference.
In the pronunciation.
Okay,
Yes.
No.
Now hold up. This man really said it's just a difference in pronunciation. Dude, this is not a phonics class. This is supposed to be, according to you guys, divine revelation. And you mean to tell me that fought and were unalived, which by the way are completely opposite in meaning, are the same because they're close in an Arabic accent? No, my brother, that is not how words, language, or logic even works. You see, when God Logic pressed the issue about diacritical marks, he wasn't just being slick. He was pointing out that dots and strokes, which were added hundreds of years after Muhammad died, determine entire words in Arabic. So if katalu means they fought and kutilu means they were unalived, you don't just have a different accent, you have a different message entirely. And the Muslim man even admits it. I go with the one that makes more sense in context. Well, hold up. So context now determines God's eternal word. Which version sounds better? That's what we're doing now? So this perfectly preserved book of Allah is subject to interpretive preference based on who thinks it flows better. Yeah, that's not how that works, bro. I'm sorry. What are you even talking about? And then the man straight up says they're both right. What? That's like me saying Jesus rose from the dead and also stayed in a tomb and then sitting there with a smile on my face like it's no big deal. You got to pick a side, man. You can't have it both ways. Even Al-Tabari, a heavy hitter in the Islam community, said that one reading does not make any sense in the verse's context. And why? Because the grammar is wrong based on what follows. That means that it changes the meaning. That means that it is not the same. And you cannot fix that with an accent. I don't care how hard you try.
There's a difference. So there's
But
a
in
difference.
an
Hold on.
explanation, like-
It's a difference.
It's a difference.
Yes or no? Just be honest, okay?
Does the word mean different?
Let him answer. Let him
Oh my
answer.
God.
Let him
Wait,
answer. Let him answer.
He wants me to
Let him
say
answer.
something.
Let him
Bro,
answer.
He's gonna
because
fix
it's not
over
right.
Let him answer. We'll break this down. We'll break this down. But let him answer. Let him answer.
Are you asking?
No.
Is there a difference in the what is the pronunciation
word.
Yes,
or
yeah.
the
meaning of
The
the
text.
verse.
The text. The text. The text.
Change the meaning of it, okay?
Here's the thing.
People-
I give you
Okay,
the
no,
difference.
No.
So this
Did
is
you
mean
say-
that
did
the
you see what the
error-
scholar
that-
said about that?
No.
Yeah, I did.
You did.
Yes,
What did you say?
he actually said the same thing that you
What
said.
did they say?
Al-Tabari said that that Kutilu, that one that talks about them being killed doesn't make sense. It cannot be. It has to be fought because
Why?
because of the following phrase that they didn't give up.
Okay.
So wait, I'm not done.
Good job.
So Tabari acknowledged that there was a textual difference here and said that this one doesn't make any sense.
Hold
It
on,
doesn't
hold
go with the context.
Hold on. What did the other group say?
Okay.
The other group went with this.
Which
I don't
is
re-
what-
I don't
you
rem-
said you read it,
I don't
right?
remember why though. I got to get back.
Do I tell you what the other
Do you
group
remember?
said? That's
Go
okay.
ahead.
Of course.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you something. The other group said Qutilu can be true too. You know why? Because they're talking about a group that died, and the majority are the ones that did not weaken and they did not give up and
No.
did not whatever.
Okay.
But in both, no,
That's
the
not what
main,
the
the
group
main
said.
message. There's the main message here. The main message. You know what's the meaning of the verse? The verse is that are people from other religions that fought with the Prophet.
It
and they never
changes, though,
weakened.
but-
you know the
but no-
meaning does not change.
It does. That's why Tabari said that one makes sense over the other.
Hold on,
does it mean now?
okay, so why are you picking over this
Bro,
one?
Exactly.
So why are you
It's not like
picking-
the Bible, bro. It's
So
not like
why-
400
Answer his question. This is a
Honey,
good question.
Why are you picking over this one now? Why? Why
I
you
told you
cannot
that's
pick
my
both?
simple mind. What my
Okay,
simple
so,
mind tells
okay,
me.
hold on. So that
Okay,
means, does that
and
mean
both
that,
are not
so
wrong, by the way.
They're not
Both
wrong?
are not wrong. Of course,
wait.
it's the same meaning.
Then we are both right, huh?
Bro, can I ask you a question?
No. You're talking to us.
Yeah, just
See,
no,
can I ask you a question?
No,
Okay, here's the question. So if I say
You stay on this
if I-
one is better, so that ask
Wait,
question
because you
about
don't
this
let
one.
me-
Yeah.
All right, so
Let me discuss
let's
with
take
you.
a break here. Let's take a break here because I want to make sure we all understand where we are in this conversation. So
are
far,
not-
hold on, listen. So far, you acknowledged that you prefer this one over this one.
Yeah, that's my
because
sim- that's
it
what
makes
my
because
simple mind tells me.
right because it makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
So that
makes more
means so
sense.
that's exactly what he said. So that means if one makes more sense over the other, there's a difference. They don't mean the same thing.
You know what? I'm gonna give him
Oh,
what
is
they
that
want.
because-
Let me give him
Are you
what they
cooking
want.
because of the-
Let me give them what
the
they
way
want.
you learn his
You wanna
language?
say?
No,
you
he's
wanna
saying
say that
the
this
the
is the
word
Quran is-
the
hold on,
two
hold on,
words are
hold on, hold on.
different,
Let's
which
give them what they
bring
want.
a different meaning to the context.
Hold on,
It
hold on.
changes the
Okay,
context.
you're right.
He says it prefers it
Wait,
because
wait.
that one makes more sense over the
Wait,
other.
You know what? You're right. You're right.
But there's another group that's with
No,
them.
you're right. You're right.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes,
Okay,
it's
tell
different.
him.
You're right.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes,
Okay,
it's
tell
different.
him.
You're right.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes,
Okay,
it's
tell
different.
him.
It's
Let
different.
him-
There's a
This
thank
Quran
you.
is different from this one.
Okay,
Now what?
good.
Now what?
So now you have to become a
Alhamdulillah.
Christian
You know what?
because you're going to leave the Islam if you find one error.
Alhamdulillah.
You said in the very first recording, you said if
What
you
was
find
that?
me one error, I'll leave the Islam.
That's not error. I said they're different.
Different, okay.
Please,
All
for
right,
God's
okay,
sake, that is a
okay,
recording.
all right,
I did not
okay.
say error.
Okay,
I
okay.
said difference.
Oh,
Read the verse. I'll prove to you the mistake here. Read the verse. I'll prove to you the mistake here. 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 The mistake here.
Oh, both. So what's
Oh,
the
my
difference?
bro,
So what's the difference?
Which one is right?
Okay, which one is the right?
That's not an
so which
error.
one is the right?
That's not
So
an
which
error.
one- Which one is the right?
They're both right. There is a difference in the writing, but it's
All right.
both of them are
Let's
right.
retry
They
one
want
more
to show
then.
them the
98,
mistake.
98.
Either they fought
Yeah.
or they were killed.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
You can fight to death.
Does it say that they fought to death?
Yeah.
No, it does
fight to
not.
death.
No, it doesn't.
That's not.
All right, guys.
No.
what
hold
does
on,
it
no,
mean?
no,
What does it mean?
no.
You know Arabic better than me. What the hell, man?
You gotta be honest.
Arabic, dude.
Be honest.
I'm Arabic.
But you gotta be honest.
This is the common deflection and diversion tactic that too many Muslims use when they know the house of cards is falling. They scream perfect preservation, but when you press them suddenly, it's, well, that one's not wrong, it's just different, but it's still true somehow, but it's still different. But we have to be honest with ourselves. There's no such thing as contradictory truth. If they fought and they were killed are both in the Quran, but only one fits the context, then you've got one that's wrong. Period. There's no way around it. And here's where it gets even more damning for them. He said, I choose the one that makes more sense to me. But what happened to divine revelation? What happened to Allah preserving his book? What happened to its perfect every jot and tittle? You just pulled a subjective interpretation card on what is supposed to be, again, according to you guys, the final revelation of God to man. And you all wonder why we don't buy the preservation narrative. Now, you compare that to the Bible, which is 66 books from 40 authors written over 1500 years, and yet not one single theological contradiction. And every major textual variant, we know it. We've cataloged it. And guess what? They never ever changed the doctrine. But Islam will not even admit that Caliph Uthman destroyed 11 of the 12 original Quranic books because they were so different from one another that it was causing conflict in the Muslim world. And they call that divine perfection? Here's the thing about it. This is not hate. It's not phobia, as so many people like to call it. It's called discernment. So as I wrap this up, let me say this. Muslims, I don't hate you. I love you guys. But I will challenge you, because if you're going to base your eternity on a book, then that book better not have different versions. And before anyone tries to jump into the comment section asking, then why are there so many versions of the Bible? Do yourself a favor and make sure that you learn the difference between translations and versions, because the Bible's doctrine doesn't change regardless of language or accent, unlike what every single Muslim apologist will try to tell you about the Quran. And to my Christian family, we have truth. Don't let TikTok confidence fool you. Do not let Arabic vocabulary flexes intimidate you. When you press them, it falls apart every single time. But having said that, guys, please like the video, share it, comment down below, and don't forget to click that bell for event notifications. And if you want to support the Cross Unit Ministry, hit that join button and become part of the team. As always, guys, be safe, be good, be blessed, and never forget that tomorrow is not promised to anyone. So get right with the Messiah while you still can, while you still have a chance, while you are on this side of the dirt. Later, guys.